You want to do 45 or
Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. Welcome to MFSN The Hub's Q&A. 45 minutes of fun with question and answers. Whatever you guys want to talk about on sports, I'm ready. This always starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, except when it starts at 6:02 p.m. Eastern or 3 Pacific time, except when it's 3:02 Pacific time. So guess what? You never know what's coming here. We got lots of questions already. People are really excited to talk to me, and I understand why. I mean, I've got lots of great answers for you. So here we go. I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. You are here on MFSN's Q&A. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I will get back to you personally. I love to talk about fantasy sports, debate things, all that stuff. So you bring it. Now, we've got a question here, and it's an appropriate first question. With the rash of injuries to ace pitchers, Bieber, Flaherty, Glasnow, which just happened, by the way, Gallen, etc., what is an owner to do? The waiver wire can provide depth, but not usually an ace. It's absolutely true. Now, here's where building depth in other areas could help. The waiver wire can provide other things. It can provide like young rookie talent. If you scoop up some young rookies, here's a good example. Scoop up Hunter Green. Hunter Green he could give you some serious value down the road. So you're saying the waiver wire can't produce ace pitchers. It can in the case of rookies like that. And starting pitchers, that's where rookies tend to excel most. Hitters usually have a little more of an adjustment. Look at Vlad Guerrero Jr. He took a little time to adjust. And, with pitchers, sometimes they come in and they just start throwing darts right away. Could they get roughed up? Yes. But I would say what you want to do is trade. To replace an ace, you want to trade. And trade from strength. Let's say you've got 4 great outfielders because you've been mining the waiver wire and you scooped up good players. Find the one that has the closest to full replacement value. I mean, let's say you scooped up Brian Reynolds has been great, for example. You scooped him up and you're trying to replace Mike Trout. There's no way that Brian Reynolds is going to replace Mike Trout. But is Brian Reynolds closer to Mike Trout than, say, Mike Minor is to Tyler Glasnow? I don't know, actually. I don't have the answer to that question, but I do have the question, and I'm going to investigate it. Mike Minor, by the way, would be a waiver wire guy I would want to scoop up. I think you want to trade, and you want to trade from strength. Usually, here's a way to do it also. If you've gotten an injury, sometimes you can use some of your best players. Like, let's say you had Juan Soto and he was bothering you like he was with me. I still knew he had that top value. But I decided, well, I could trade him for depth. Sometimes you want to trade for depth. You want to be the player who gets 2 or 3 players back. Sometimes you want to be the guy who gets the 1 and then scoop players off the wire. So you can use players like Acuna or Soto to kind of, they fold value into one spot. And sometimes you need to unfold that value and go make up ground for your team, especially in a redraft league. Don't hesitate to do that. In a keeper or a dynasty league, I don't usually make panic responses like that. I'd rather do something smaller. Okay, we got another question. And by the way, I'm going to look at, if I'm going to be looking in a league, if I can get through all these questions and can get time on the league, I'm going to look at my head-to-head league this week. In fact, why don't we do that for a little bit? And then I'll tell you what. I'm so ambivalent right now. I'm going to take one more question. Then I'm going to get to the league, and then I'll get back to questions. George Springer is coming back soon. Can you really bench Grichuk right now? Well, actually, I'll get to the league right away. That question requires an answer about what Randall Grichuk has been doing. Now, I know that he was great last year. He was kind of one of these seeming late bloomers, it seems. We're going to go, no, not Grichuk. Randall Grichuk. We're going to look at what he's doing. Okay. He's ranked 82 over. Oh, wait, I don't want to look in. See, when I look in this league, take a look at what we've got to go in here. We've got so many categories. I can't figure out the guy's value. I'm all confused. I see total bases and stuff like that. I can't do it. I'm going to go to my other league. I'm going to check out what he's been doing there because I can get a better sense of how to advise you if I'm working on, more typical Roto 5x5 valuation. Stop it. Behave yourself. Behave yourself, Yahoo, or I will make you come inside where you already are. That made absolutely no sense. But I'm having fun. Okay, Randall Grichuk. It's interesting. Pretty much similar value, but whoa, 44 RBIs. Now, let me see what he's been doing, though, in the last month. No, I didn't mean to do that. That was too much functionality. That was like I did a little drag on my cursor, and it was like, oh, you want to go back? No, stop trying to be intelligent. Just do what I tell you, computer. What's wrong with you? Now I got to search for Grichuk again. In front of all these people, you're embarrassing me. All right. We're going to see what he's done in the last 30 days. Randall Grichuk. Not as good, actually. Could you bench him? Yeah. See, I think he's hitting kind of good numbers. But I think what you want to do, yes, I would bench Grichuk. Or are you asking, would Toronto bench Grichuk? I don't know about that. They probably will still play him in some way, but bring in Springer. You want the best guy. One more question, then I'm going to get to my league a little bit. Is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the next coming of Pujols or Miggy? I don't know if the question is he more Pujols or more Miggy, or is he the next Pujols or Miggy? We need to work on our commas in some of these questions. I'm not trying to rib anybody, but I actually just don't know what you mean. I'm one of these deep thinkers about language. I was an English major. So I would say no. Here's the real question. Is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the next coming of Vladimir Guerrero? I don't know. I actually think he's going to be a good amount like Pujols. Listen, if you have him in a keeper or dynasty league, you don't deal him for anything. Nothing. Look, if it's for Tatis, maybe. But this brings me to the next question. Who's your favorite junior? Tatis, Acuna, or Guerrero? It's Guerrero. And I'll tell you why. I love a second-generation Hall of Fame talent. Fernando Tatis wasn't that. Ronald Acuna Sr., as far as I know, he could have been bagging groceries. Nothing against that, but I don't even know if he was a Major League Baseball player. I probably should know that, but I don't. In any case, let's get to what's happening in this league. This league of ours. Ross and Casey and I, we're in 2 leagues together when it comes to baseball. This is called West Coast Ballers. It was started by Ross the Boss. You can see right here, actually, there's a Ross for you right there. Look at how much fun he's having. And look at this, the packed stadium. That was back in the days when that was a foregone conclusion. Now, I'm losing 7 to 13. This is a kind of crazy league. It's kind of fun to play in a crazy league that does things differently. There's so many categories. I think there's like 26 categories or something like that. But if you look down here, first of all, Casey, he's in second place in his division, but he's only 12 games back. That's not that much when you've got this 12 categories back, by the way. It's not games. He's losing to Sonic Death Monkeys. That is a reference to High Fidelity, unless somehow they don't realize that's their own reference. Ross languishing in 8th place overall, but he is above 500, so he's not doing so bad. And he's not even that far behind me, but I am in the weaker division where the league leader is. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I'm not in the weaker division. I take that back. I'm in the what I mean by in the weaker division is that I'm in the stronger division. But I'm in second place. I'm only 5.5 categories back. Chasing beavers. I assume they're from Oregon, but I don't really know. Maybe they just like the animal. And look how many. I have 62 ties. This is where it's really weird. So one of the categories is grand slams. Another is no hitters. We tie in that almost every single time. So you get like just 9 or 10 ties just from that. Anyways, that's how I'm doing right there. I'm going to take a quick look at my team and then I'll get back to questions. I'm feeling pretty good overall, though. You know, it looks the top 4 teams make the playoffs. Although it could be if you win the division and you're not even in the top 4, you get one of those 4 spots. I need to pick up a middle infielder. Byron Buxton should be coming back from IL soon. Pavin Smith and Tyler Naquin both on the bench, and I own them in both leagues, so that doesn't help me. I got Trevor Rogers, Mike Minor, and Casey Mize all going tonight. And Tyler Glass now hit the IL. Now let's see. Is Michael Kopech coming back soon? I could use him back. He had been putting up some good numbers. Let's see. He's throwing off a mound on Tuesday. It's his first mound workout since he went down. Yeah. Okay. When's he coming back? Doesn't tell me. I will seek out that source somewhere else. Oh, that's going to close out my whole thing, isn't it? Yes, it did. Well, that's going to make me go to questions. Whenever my computer malfunctions, I punish it by answering questions about fantasy sports. Is Kris Bryant coming back to earth? Do I sell high on him? Well, let's see how. Now, you bought kind of low on him. This is from Casey. So he bought kind of low on him, and I know that. And he even asked me, should I do it? And I said, yes, it looks to me like he is the real deal. I'm not sure that I disagree with that stance anyway. He's been an absolute monster. But what's he been doing, let's say, in the last 30 days and then the last 14 days? And let's see. In the last 30 days, 9 runs, 3 homers, 15 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. I don't know if he's had less at bats. Has he been hurt? What's happening here? Let's check out the last 14 days. See how he's doing. Woo! Not looking good right now. I could see selling high on him, yes. If you're in a keeper league, I wouldn't sell high on him like to a huge tune, but I think that he is coming back down to earth some. I still think he's going to have a lot of value, but I think that I would sell high on him if you could. And, you know, the kind of guy you could bring back, let's look at the kind of guy you could bring back. And then we'll get into the next question, which is about, is it too early to punt a category? I'm going to punt no hitters in my other league because that doesn't have any risk to it. But actually, that is a serious question, and we will get to it. I'm going to look at what kind of players do we think we could get for Kris Bryant? Like similar, let's say, hitters. Or what if you have your ace go out and you've got Kris Bryant? In fact, that's exactly what Casey's question is, because he had Glasnow and he has Kris Bryant. So could he sell Kris Bryant for a pitcher? Absolutely. Now, let's see. Kris Bryant, where does he rank in hitters? Here he is, 33rd. So you could probably get potentially Whit Merrifield. He might be a good choice. He's got 17 stolen bases. That's at a premium. I think given that Bryant is slumping, though, you're probably not going to get him. Wow, I didn't realize how good Kyle Tucker's been. When people are on teams that are just not relevant to you, you can sometimes lose track of these things. If you're, the fantasy experts who do this for their entire living, they might be in like 15 leagues and they'll know what every player is doing. But if you're only in 2 leagues, like I am, you're going to miss certain players. The key to me is not about knowing each player's valuation. The key is knowing how to understand the valuations. So I can dip in and be like, oh, well, Kyle Tucker's worth this. He's on a team that is generally hard to trade with, so I just don't even bother. Here's an interesting... Trey Turner's going to be too hard to get. Adolis Garcia. You could find somebody who thinks Adolis Garcia is going to come back to earth, and I'd have to check and see how he's doing. I would be very careful about dealing Kris Bryant for Adolis Garcia. But for JD Martinez, I probably would do it because JD Martinez is going to keep up these numbers. I think Kris Bryant's numbers are going to fade, but this is a keeper league. Would I do that in a keeper league? No. JD Martinez is like, I don't know, 37, 38, something like that. Let's get back to some questions. We got a question from Ross the Boss. What do you guys think if I traded Charlie Morton and Mercedes for Yelich in a redraft head-to-head league? Okay, we're in a redraft head-to-head league. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see, is this your redraft head-to-head league? Hold on. Fantasy Sports, Yahoo, Baseball. Give me 1 second. Oh, what? Come on. So let's find out. Is Ross asking this question because this is what he actually has in our league? West Coast Ballers? Let's find out. We're going to my team first. All right. Let's pull this up on the screen. Yes, there we go. All right. We're going to the league page. We're going to see, does Ross have these players or not? Boys of Summer. Obviously a reference to the 1955, I think, book by Roger Kahn. No, it's just, well, that was about the Dodgers too. It's just about the Dodgers. That's what they call the Dodgers, the Boys of Summer. So who are the players involved? Wow, he loves Patrick Wisdom. That cracks me up. Okay, Charlie Morton and Mercedes. He does not appear to have Mercedes on this team, so either he's talking from a different league or he's just posing a nice hypothetical. I think it's a hypothetical, but let's check it out. Let's say you have Charlie Morton and Mercedes. Would you trade him for Yelich in a redraft league? Okay, I'm going to see what Charlie Morton's been doing. I'm telling you, some of these players, they just aren't that much on my radar. Charlie Morton has been pretty subpar. But what's he been doing lately? Let's go last 30 days. Sometimes I like to check last 14 days, but I want to get a bigger sample size here. Charlie Morton's numbers definitely looking up. So I like acquiring Charlie Morton. Do I like acquiring Mercedes if I am a Yelich fan? Is that a deal I want to do? Mercedes has been fading, it seems, I think. Let me check. The last 30 days? Oh, very bad. Okay, so Charlie Morton and Mercedes for Yelich. I'm liking the Yelich side of the deal just as I'm sizing it up, just eyeballing it. Yelich has been bad. It is true. But he is a huge talent. And let's see if he's been doing better. He's been doing a lot better. Still batting only 200 in the last month. 3 homers, 14 RBIs, 3 steals, 17 runs. Let's see. Let's check out the last 14 days. Let's see if he's coming around some. 101. He's starting to heat up. Listen, if you have pitching to spare and you can part with Charlie Morton, I think you do that deal, even in a redraft head-to-head league, because Yelich is the kind of guy who can win you your league. These other guys are not. So I would take a chance on it. Okay, we got a question. This is from Casey. Do you still floss every day? I do. I have flossed every day since I was like 21 years old. And you know why? Because I was tired of the dentist asking me, did you floss? And I said, you know what? Fine. I'll floss for the rest of my life so that every time you ask questions about whether I flossed and then you see that it's not making much of a difference, you can't blame me for it. And that's actually what started to happen. I'd floss and they'd be like, do you floss? And I'd be like, yes. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Now, I will say this. I actually think flossing is good for you and you should do it. And it has paid off handsomely. I haven't grown any new teeth, but that's normal. But I think it's good. Let's see. We've got that's right. I wanted to get back to this question. At what point is it safe to consider punting a category? Is June too early? Not necessarily. Now, look, this is more of a roto question. You don't tend to punt head-to-head leagues, although I suppose you could. It's just not something you do as much because you have a chance to renew every week and do better. So I wouldn't think you'd want to do it. But let's look at standings. Even though this standings will reveal something embarrassing for me, I'm currently not doing very well, but I have a huge amount of injuries. And my computer is now cooperating because it's like, oh, you don't want to show this, do you? I'll just pinwheel and not let you go there. Let's try that again. Wow, it's really not doing it. Well, let's talk about the question at hand. I think it's safe to consider punting a category. June is probably on the early side, but it is the time that I might start to think about it. And the reason that I might start to think about it is if you size up the standings, let's say you've got 3 saves. Your closers were a disaster. You didn't get any out of the draft, and it's going to take a long time to make up ground. Well, the fact is, you may not be able to make up ground in that. You may decide, the best strategy is to go ahead, and we have an internet disruption on one of my computers because I'm running on 2 computers. 2 computers and a phone, for that matter. It's a complicated operation here. I think I might restart this and see if I can get this back up. So that way I can show you some pictures on this screen. Oh my God. This computer's going completely bananas. I think I'm going to focus on questions today because the computer's going wild. So here's the thing. I wouldn't punt certain categories. Like, are you going to punt home runs? If you punt home runs, you're going to have problems in RBIs. You're going to have problems in runs. You're going to have problems in average. Of course, you don't punt home runs. The only ones I would possibly punt would be saves, batting average. Well, actually, that's not true. Saves, batting average. I would potentially punt steals. I wouldn't want to punt ERA or WHIP, but if you get into bad enough trouble, you might. I'm going to close this other computer. It's having some major problems. Those are the categories I would consider punting. Do not punt more than one category, though, or you will lose. And in fact, I think you generally don't want to punt a category at all. But if you're really far out of it, and I think saves is a good example of it, then you can punt it. What I really like to do is get into my slot. Let's say you're in fifth place in saves, and the next guy below you has like 15 saves less. I wouldn't do it in June, but by the time you get to August, let's say, you might say to yourself, they're not going to make up that ground. Let's say you're 20 ahead, and you've got 3 save guys, and they've got 3 save guys. They're not going to gain on you. Nobody behind you is going to gain on you. So rather than punting, I think what you want to do is size up where you are in a given category and make a decision where maybe you deal one of those closers for a home run hitter who's going to make up ground in a category that you need. I'm not a fan of punting categories. I don't think I've actually ever punted a category. I don't think I have. No, I'm always scraping for the most points you can. So I think it's safe to start punting a category. Maybe I would say late July. I think June is too early. Okay. If I would trade Adam Frazier, which starting pitchers should I get? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm going to need to roam on my other computer because this one just completely crapped out on me. So, all right, we're going to go with Frazier. Unfortunately, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm going to tell you. Adam Frazier ranks 95th overall. He's hitting .332. This guy's been quite a value. He only has 2 homers, 24 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases. So 36 runs, not so bad, but it's the .332 average that's really doing it. And I want to see what kind of numbers has he had in batting average over the years. We see nothing like that. This is screaming some lucky BABIP thing. So I think a sell high on Adam Frazier, well worth it. And now, what pitchers could you get for him? Well, he's ranked 95th overall. Generally speaking, when you're trying to deal to another manager, they're going to look at those numbers. I'm not saying that's the thing to do, by the way. I am not promoting that. But I'm just saying, what can you expect? Well, their Yahoo ranking is going to determine some things. So let's say you look for somebody who's a similar ranking. Kenley Jansen's 93 overall. Can you get Kenley Jansen for Adam Frazier? Probably not. If you can, do it in a heartbeat because Kenley Jansen has much more value. He's a closer. He's got really good numbers. I mean, it's actually not even close. Don't even make that offer. It's a terrible offer. But could you get somebody like, let's say you offer Adam Frazier to a second base needy guy for Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker is ranked 74th overall. If you're the Taijuan Walker owner, do not take that deal. But if you're the Frazier owner, maybe you make that offer. Or maybe you make an offer for an injured pitcher. Listen, you couldn't get Kenley Jansen, but you could potentially get Richard Rodriguez. You could make the argument, listen, he's going to get dealt like in a month. Now's your chance to get a good player. Adam Frazier, probably not going to move the needle on that too much. But I think you can get, let's see. There's a lot of closers in here in this ranking area. You could definitely deal him for somebody like TJ Antone, although he's on the IL now. What happened to him? It's a retroactive one, and it's a forearm injury. Don't do that. Red alert. Don't do that deal I just said. Maybe Anthony Disclafini. Tough name to say. He's got pretty good numbers. I don't love that his strikeout ratio is low. Ross will tell you I'm all about the strikeout ratio. You could deal him for Michael Kopech. He's on the IL and coming back soon. That would be a great deal for you. Maybe if you get Robbie Ray for him, do that in a heartbeat. Maybe Huascar Inoa? No, he's on the IL. Let's see. When's he coming back? These are you got to go a little bit of bargain hunting if you're going to look with somebody like him. All right, let's check another trade option. Oh, I see Sam Jacobowitz has joined us. Hey, Sam Jacobowitz, chat MVP. Where you been? Drop us some questions, make some comments, whatever you want to say. Would Rodon take down the Cy Young if the season ended today? I like that. Juicy question. Oh, that's right. We call Anthony Disco. Tony Disco. Patrick Wisdom, the real deal. Ross is asking that question. I don't think you're him. That is an Aladdin quote. That's some serious nerding out there. I don't think Patrick Wisdom is totally a fluke, but I also don't think he's the real deal. I would trade him for something good. Is Biggio worth a roster spot? Okay, I'm going to check out Rodon, and then I'm going to check out Biggio. Okay, Rodon. Oh, my God, he's been nasty. Wow. Is he the Cy Young, though? Let's check this out. I mean, he does have a no-hitter in there. We're going to go with starting pitchers, all players. I wish you guys could see my screen, but my other computer just causing problems. Well, you got Brandon Woodruff has been awesome, but he's in the NL, so he won't interfere. But Garrett Cole, I think, is a better bet for Cy Young. Rodon, probably a close second, and actually he could win it. I don't know. That looks like it's close. Lance Lynn has been outstanding. The White Sox pitching staff is just amazing. I have Lucas Giolito, who we interviewed, and he's a great young man. And we actually just interviewed his dad, along with Scott Heinemann's father, for Father's Day. So be looking out for that on Saturday. We have I believe it's on Saturday, we have our interview with Lucas Giolito's father and Scott Heinemann's father, who know each other, and they have quite a rivalry. Yes, the White Sox have the best record in the AL too. Very true. It's no accident. They've got that great pitching. I don't see a lot of rivals to Rodon for American League Cy Young. I've got Garrett Cole, and the National League is much more loaded on great starting pitching. Who would be even next in the American League? Wow. You got to go way down. It's between Rodon and Garrett Cole, for sure. All right. I want to sell high on Austin Gomber. Was thinking of offering him for Blake Snell. Redraft head-to-head categories league or hold Gomber. Okay. Now listen. In a keeper league or a dynasty league, you would never offer Austin Gomber for Blake Snell unless you want to get shot in the head, because that is a terrible offer. But I tried to put in Austin Gomber, and the computer tried to correct to Goober. That tells you something. But Austin Gomber has actually been pretty good. I don't trust Colorado pitchers very much, as really most people don't. But Austin Gomber has put up some relatively decent numbers, and he's a young pitcher. So anything can happen. I think you generally would want to deal Gomber. Now, let's see. Would you want to deal him for Blake Snell? In a head-to-head league, check out Blake Snell. Wow. Snell has really been bad this season, which I know, but I didn't know that he had stayed this bad. In the last 30 days, he has continued to be pretty bad. He had one really good game, and that is keeping him afloat. I would take a chance on Snell, yes. I don't think it's the greatest deal for you, but you're not trading that much. And this is a low-risk trade, and the upside could be very big. We have this. Anything new or definitive on Glasnow? I also lost Bieber yesterday. Crud. That's losing those two would be pretty damn hard, I have to say. I tried to search Glasnow and it changed to Glasgow. Here's the thing about autocorrect, guys. If you turn off autocorrect, everything gets even worse. Autocorrect's kind of like that really annoying friend that you actually don't want to lose. Glasnow, the latest, I think it's a partial tear of the UCL. Yep, partial tear of the UCL. Let's see what they say. The plan right now is for him to rehab the injury rather than undergo surgery. Okay, but it's going to be a lengthy absence, and we're already into June. So Glasnow, listen, if he's in a keeper or a dynasty league, you could think about trading him for something useful if you want to move him. If you want to hold on to him, I don't blame anybody for that. He is a great, great pitcher. But this is such a hard thing for pitchers. The Bieber injury is supposedly, I think, less severe, but it is a shoulder strain. Any arm-related injury to a pitcher is always worrisome, especially when I think I'm blanking on his name. It's funny, I have not been reading up on these as much because I used to see posts. Dr. James Andrews. Yes, we used to call him the Grim Reaper because the minute pitchers would go to him, it was a surefire sign they were headed towards Tommy John, and they'd be out for 18 months. Romano or Graveman the rest of the season at relief pitcher, and why? Romano is the answer to that question. He's pitching better than Graveman. He has a more solid hold on it. They've both been injured at one point, but Romano seems past his injury. I think Toronto has less likelihood to deal Romano than Graveman. Graveman's one of those pitchers where they didn't even expect there to be. I'm getting a phone call. This is amazing. The interruptions in the technology today. Graveman is one of those players where the Mariners tried him out. They didn't expect him to be the closer. They're going to get value for him. Graveman is almost certainly going to get traded. That's my guess. I think Romano they hold on to. Let's talk about Hunter Green. Hunter Green just got promoted to AAA yesterday. Is he worth a stash in a redraft league? I honestly don't see him being in AAA long. I agree. I think this is starting to be just a tune-up. Hunter Green, I think, will be here by mid-July. I'm going to go even better than that. I think he's going to be here by July 8th. Very specific. I just think after the first week of July, they're going to bring him up, and it's going to be electric. And I have him in both leagues, and Ross is going to be mad because he commented on him before, and he thinks that he brought him to my attention, but I did have Hunter Green very much on my radar. The difference is he got promoted to AAA. That means he's coming up soon. It's not going to be long. I'm very happy to have gotten him in a keeper league. I'm shocked that I got him for nothing. Let's see. Why do my Yankees suck so bad, says Casey Scheinbold. I'm not sure. There's a couple of reasons. But karma's got to be one of them, right? I mean, Yankees fans have been obnoxious to people for a while. Not a good thing to do. I think it's been a lot of injuries. But let me take a look and see. What are the actual standings? I mean, it's embarrassing that I don't totally know this. I know the Yankees started off terribly. But I think they're going to be fine. Let me see. What are the standings? Why are they not giving me the standings here? I go to MLB.com and you can't find the standings. Oh, well, then I'm not going to deal with that site. If you're going to do that to me, then I go somewhere else. Major League Baseball standings. There we go. The Yankees, 33-32. Oh, my God. Why do my Yankees suck so bad? Only a Yankees fan would possibly say such a thing about a team that's over 500. How spoiled are you, Yankees fans? Give me a break. I can't believe it. But meanwhile, the Red Sox, 40-27, it's interesting. That's only 6 games ahead of the Yankees, so it's not that far. But you got the Rays, you got the Red Sox, and speaking about that Jordan Romano stuff, the Blue Jays are over 500. They've got a chance at the playoffs, whereas the Mariners are under 500, probably fading. I see them selling Graveman. Let's see. Should we trust Jared Kalenick to contribute this year? I don't know. I'd have to see what he's doing in the minors. He got demoted after a terrible, terrible campaign where he batted under 100. My God. Now, I've heard, this is interesting, apparently spin rates among pitchers are dipping. I think this is because they're getting caught using these foreign substances, and now they're cutting down on it, and suddenly hitters can hit again. I was really ragging on hitters for their terrible league average of 237 as of like 2 weeks ago. But maybe some of it was that pitchers were cheating, and now they might not. And we're going to see what happens with the numbers here. I don't understand why there's so much cheating in baseball. You know, I understand that if there is a lot of cheating, it's going to lead to more cheating. But why can't baseball clean things up and not have the cheating? I don't get it. Like, I was a huge Albert Bell fan, still am. But why was that dude ever corking his bat? You know, I loved it when he was like right here. But why did you cork it in the first place? Albert, why? such a great player. You don't need that. Is Ahmed Rosario turning into an everyday fantasy player? He was a former top prospect. I think that he is. I think that he is actually turning into a very usable fantasy player. He's, not going to win you leagues, but he could help you not lose them, by being just solid. It's interesting. I was just looking at the team standings. My Indians were 35-28. Notice, Yankee fans, when you're just 3 games better than the Yankees, and you're at that level, you're like, we're doing pretty well. Now, Shane Bieber just got hurt, so that's going to hurt. But we're doing that with almost no lineup and one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. Who knows what's happening? Meanwhile, the A's, they just continue to win. You gotta hand it to them. 41-27. They're always putting together great teams. I'm just looking at what's happening in the standings. The Padres were picked by many to be dominant because of their starting pitching. The Dodgers have even better pitching, but only 3 games separating them. The surprise, of course, San Francisco Giants. Kevin Gausman, players like him on that team. I don't know what's going on in that pitching clubhouse, but they are doing a great job. Man, the Pirates are bad. It's time to deal Richard Rodriguez in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's a great time to get value for him. Diamondbacks are even worse, but there's no closer to deal. The Rockies are bad. I would move Justin Bard. Let's see. Who else should we trade? Yimi Garcia on the Marlins. I just heard, I could hear it in my head, Ross saying, "How dare you, sir?" Because he was smart enough to pick up Yimi Garcia and get a lot of saves from him. That's great, but he's going to be gone soon. There's no way they keep him. Nationals. Do the Nationals move their closer? I don't know. That's Brad Hand. They could get a lot for him, but that would be kind of cashing in on the year. I don't think they're ready to do it, especially not after a shortened season last season. So I don't see that happening. In the American League, I see the Twins are probably going to move Hansel Robles, Trevor Rogers, or both. They would move Kalenick, but they can't get anything for him. And I think the Royals are likely to move Greg Holland, something like that. This is hurting me to say because these are players that I own. The Orioles will move any closer they have. And the Rangers will move any closer they have. Oh, by the way, we on MFSN interviewed DeMarcus Evans. He is a flame-throwing 24-year-old relief pitcher out of Mississippi. He's got a great sense of humor. You should totally watch this interview when it comes out. It's coming out soon. And in the meantime, I think he's a dark horse for some closing duties. So I would scoop him up. If you've got some roster space, scoop him up, hold him for a couple weeks. I think he's going to end up closing. That's my guess. Could I be wrong about it? Of course I could be wrong about it. I've been wrong about so many things in fantasy baseball, especially when it comes to closers. All right, let me take a look and see what is going on in this keeper league of mine. We're going to check in on that. My God, just decimated by injuries. I had Mike Trout. Listen, before I start complaining, I already started complaining, but before I get too far down the line, let me just say, nobody likes somebody who complains about their injuries because everybody's had injuries. I'm not actually complaining about it. I'm noting it, and that is different. I have had a lot of injuries, but I've also had underperformances. I've had, like, Francisco Lindor hasn't gotten injured, but he's injured my team. Mike Trout's been out. That's been bad. I've had Shane Bieber go down, Trevor Rosenthal, Zach Gallen. Michael Kopech is not as vital, but has everybody had these injuries? Yeah, the injuries have been like crazy. So I can't really complain all that much, but I hope I get some luck here. That would be nice. Dear fantasy sports gods, please give me some luck. Let's see. Do we have any other questions in here? Did we get Sam Jacobowitz to ask a question? We didn't. He said hi, but then he was gone. Let's see. Bard is a beast. It's a good little riff on his name, and he is. But I do think that he is going to get dealt. Matt Olson has very good stats, similar to Acuna without the stolen bases. Besides Vlad, is there a better first baseman? Ooh, juicy question. Ross the Boss says no injuries here. Now, Mr. Hand to you. That's great. When I said Brad Hand, Ross the Boss said, it's Mr. Hand to you. That was a Spicoli reference from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. What is this, Spicoli? It's pizza. I don't remember exactly what he said. Okay, let's look at first base. We're going to go all players. Is there a better first baseman other than Vladimir Guerrero than Matt Olson? Well, not in terms of ranking. Matt Olson has been a beast. 18 homers and a 290 average. I drafted him last year to try to be a keeper, and that feels like so long ago. And yet, if I had stuck with it, it would have been good. Yuli Gurriel, meanwhile, has been a great player. He's having one of his best years, 323 average, 47 RBIs, only 10 homers. Jared Walsh has proved to be very, very good. Mark Canha, really interesting that he's had such a good season. He's had a weird season. 50 runs scored and 27 RBIs with 11 homers and 7 stolen bases. Really strange first base stats. Ryan McMahon has been good. So, long story short, you got Vladimir Guerrero, you got Kris Bryant, and you got Matt Olson. The only other person there are two. There are two other players I could see getting in the mix of this conversation. Freddie Freeman still could end up being completely dominant, and Jose Abreu also. Those two aren't up there in the rankings. Would I take those over Matt Olson? I probably would. I would still take Jose Abreu and Freddie Freeman over Matt Olson. Kris Bryant, I don't know. He's starting to fade. I probably would take him too. So I have Matt Olson 5th, then Jared Walsh. Love those questions. Dylan Moore is back. Keep him or not? Well, listen, if you kept him through the injury, keep him now. But I've been talking up Dylan Moore for a while. The first game back, he had a 2-run homer. Actually, I don't know if it was a 2-run homer. He had 2 RBIs and a home run and a stolen base. This guy can do it all. Ian Happ, still the best player in the NL. That's funny. In a one-man league. Notice I didn't say one team, one-man league. Ian Happ is the best player. I think when we do the waiver wire, and we're going to wrap up soon, when we do the waiver wire tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, unless we adjust the time. Sometimes we adjust the time an hour later, so check back. I don't think we're doing that this time, though. When we do that, I am going to push for a segment called I Told You So. And we've done that before, but this time I think we need to get me, Ross, and Casey on an actual waiver wire show together. It's been a while because Casey's been out in various ways. No, that's not true. Wait, was he back last week? Wow, I can't even remember. Anyways, I want to do an I Told You So segment. And the I Told You So segment will not just have Hunter Dozier and Ian Happ in it, but I did tell you so about them. I'm also going to say I told you so about Dylan Moore. The guy steals bases, and he can hit for power. Is he going to hit for average? Probably not, but is he going to hit 168? No, that's a BABIP kind of thing. Well, guys, it has been a pleasure doing this with you. I enjoy speaking with you all. Sam, I'm glad you stopped by. I'd like to see you give me some questions next time. Ross the Boss asked lots of questions. Casey Shamvold asked lots of questions. There were some other questions mixed in there as well. We got a bad Mr. Hand imitation. No, actually, the Mr. Hand imitation was good. The Spicoli needs some work. I'm going to work on that. In any case, guys, thank you for watching MFSN's Q&A. It has been a pleasure. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and I will get back to you personally. Thank you for watching.
We're gonna set the internet on